eating your sandwiches, and we'll go through the session today. So I want to start off with a little story when we were prepping for the session, just so that you understand that we're training you today, not because we do everything perfectly, but because we really try to make sure that these are practical tips for you. So before today's session, we were preparing and my boss had called me and said, hey, do you know that your voicemails from like Christmas, it says that you're out? So no, I didn't realize that. And it's something that I do know how to do. I know how to change, but I had forgotten it. So I like to say this all the time in these, that practice makes progress. We are not perfect. We're just here to help provide you with information, but know that all of the information we give you today is going to be recorded. So you don't have to memorize it. You don't have to do it perfectly. Let's just work together to be more practical about the way we're approaching technology at UT Dallas. Okay, I am going to stop sharing the slides and start sharing my teams because I want to make sure that you're aware of a few details within Teams so that you can have your account set up. So just one second, let me grab that screen for you. Perfect. Is that showing? Yay, great. So I've got my Teams pulled up. I'm going to talk to you a little bit first about how you can manage your devices within the Teams platform. So from my profile picture, you see you can select on that and go under Manage Account. This is how you have access to all your devices. I use my standard, my horseshoe headset, goes around my neck, and it's wireless so that I can get up and close my door and stay focused. So if you go into that and just look under devices, so manage account and then devices. In here, you'll be able to see that you're able to modify any of your devices and change your headsets from what you can or whichever your preference is. If you have multiple, my laptop already has built-in speakers and a built-in camera, but I use an external camera. So with all of our calling and all of our meetings, I like to draw your attention to this because sometimes in a meeting you might have an echo or a crackling sound and you may need to make a quick change. So this is the way that you can do that by selecting which audio device would be your preference. In addition, you can do that with your microphone, depending on what devices. Everyone's will look different than mine. This is just the way mine is set up, but you can select the appropriate device that you would like to use within Teams. But all of that is available there. You can adjust your mic sensitivity and you can have on noise suppression. So if you do have background noise, if you have pets, kids, a device whom you cannot say the name of, then you may want to have those background noise set up so that it doesn't come through on your call and you will not be able to hear it. So I just wanted to make sure that you had all of that information so that you can make those modifications as you need to. Just one second, I know I'm switching something here to get it pulled up. Sorry, Magdalite, did you lose my slide? My thing, just one second. One second. I'm going to pull it up here. Sharing too much at once. Okay. There it is. Everybody see that okay? Excellent. Oh. Oh, what is that? I'm sorry, y'all. I thought I had my phone silenced, but apparently I do not. Just one second. Okay, let me get this. Just a second. Hello?
Hello, Amanda. Are you busy right now?
I am like literally in the middle of Teams tips. What's going on, Abby?
Oh, you're in a team, Steph? I have so much to share. Let me take it over from you.
Are you sure? It's all about calling. Are you ready for this?
Oh, I can take a call or two.
Okay, hold on just a second. Let me see. How do I transfer this thing? Just 1 second. Let me find out.
All right, take your time. All right, hello everyone. My name is Abhitej, and today I will go over some basics about Teams, Teams calling, and the platform we use for that. So let me just get my screen share up ready, and I will give you a live demo on how we can navigate through Teams, the keypad, and the contact features that we have on there. Perfect. So now that we're on Teams, let's go back to the main interface that Teams have and go back to Teams calling. Perfect. So this is usually the page that one will see when they go to Teams and on the calls tab on the left side. So on the center, we have the history tab. On the left side, we usually have the keypad. So the fun feature about this keypad is you can either type a number like we have in the original old phones, but you can also type a name to make a call. So you don't have to look up different names and call it for function. It also gives you your work number. So if you ever forget your number, like I usually do, you can always give someone that number as well. And then in the center, you have the history tab. On the right side, you have the speed dial tab. So now let's navigate to the contacts. So on the contacts tab on the top, you can see that our person here has around 5 or 6 contacts. There's multiple titles, phones, and other options. Some of these options on the right-hand side of a contact, you see some icons. You can directly message a person from there. You can email them, video call them, Teams call them, and more actions. What I like to do with this contact is have speed dials. So if I have people to call right away, like my boss or my teammates who I love to chat with, I can speed dial them and they're always on the top of that list. Perfect. Now that we have done the contact features, I would like to show you more about the Teams feature that is we have on there. Let's go back on the phone tab on the top hand corner, right on the top. Perfect. And then you see the history tab. This gives a list of all the calls you've made, missed, or might have actually taken. It also gives you when you took it. One feature that I like about it more is on the top right, you see a menu with a couple of lines right next to all, voicemail, and line menu, and you can use that to filter. So if I want to see how many times has Amanda given me a call, and she does that a lot, you can check that as well. And if she wants to check how many times I've called, I don't disturb her that many times. And then you can actually cross that out. And then once you get out of the filter by clicking the cross icon on the right hand side of that information, we can go to the next main topic, that is the voicemails. So what I like about voicemail is that it's not just a general voicemail that you get by some annoying people or some spams. You can actually check that there's a way that you can check voicemails by a list. So usually right now, I don't know, we are having some troubles that there's no voicemails there, but the feature I like about it is if someone does leave you a voicemail, it's also visually transcripted. So if I was to get a voicemail, I can actually choose the transcript of that voicemail by what the person said. And if you have any, sometimes you want to follow up with them or you want to do anything, you can have all of that right there as well. So right now we have a couple more really highlighted features that we want to show you, and we can have a small video that we have for those. Those videos are about parking a call and transferring a call as well. So now if we can have that video any second now, that'd be perfect.
Morning. Today we will give a demonstration of parking calls and transferring calls. To do both of them, we need to be on call. So once we do accept the call right here, you will see a set of options in the center, and we will navigate to the More Actions tab, that is the one with the 3 dots. To start us off, we'll do a park call, so we can select the park call button on there. What park call basically does is puts the contact on hold and gives you the ability to pick it up later. To do so, you can see on the top left that it shows the status of the call, and you see a code. You can also click copy code to that button right there, and to pick up the call, we will copy the code and go to the speed dial tab under calls. On the right side, you see the button park calls. This is where we will actually input the code to pick up our call that is going on. Once you have the option to manually enter the code as well as paste the code, so we can go ahead and paste the code and pick up our call. Now this will continue and resume our conversation and call from where we left off. The next step is to transfer a call. So now that we're back on contact, we can click More Actions, and we can select Transfer a Call. A side note is that you can actually transfer a call while the call is parked as well. And once you do click this option, the call is again put on hold. We can select a person or user to transfer the call to and click transfer. And once the contact is transferred, it basically goes to the different contact, just as we demonstrated. Thank you.
Thank you again. Now I'll pass it off to Dennison to show us more about the Teams features.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dennison, and I'm going to teach you about Teams voicemail. Well, actually, first, I'm actually going to teach you about call management and our voicemail. So to start, we're going to go ahead and go to the three little dots right next to, as you see, the profile. We're going to go to settings. And now that we're in settings, we're going to go ahead and go straight down to where you see calls. And so as you see, there's quite a few options here. Don't hold on. Don't let it get, don't get intimidated. I'm going to go ahead and go through it with you. So we're going to first start with call answering rules. So as you can see, there's one here that says calls ring me. And what this is saying is when someone tries to call you, you can have the option to choose what happens when they ring you. So if you go to also ring, you can make it to where it either rings someone else, which is either someone from your contacts, or you can do someone who is in a call group, or you can make sure that it just doesn't ring anybody else. Then you can also go to, if you aren't able to get to the phone, because we all live busy lives, so you can actually change it to where it either transfers to your voicemail or to someone else. Now, the next option there is going to be, and the next option is actually going to be forwarding calls before I get there. So once you're in forwarding calls, you can actually choose what you want to happen when you're forwarding a call. You can choose it to go to your voicemail, which is a nice option if you want someone to leave you a wonderful voicemail, or you can also leave it to, you can have it transferred to a new contact or call group. Now, let's go ahead and move over to our ringtones. I know there's a voicemail there, but we're going to leave voicemails till a little bit later. So our ringtones, which I know this is the part that you guys have all been waiting for. We have about 16 different voicemails for you to choose, or I should really say ringtones for you to choose from. There's also many wonderful tones, as you can tell. You can also choose the type of ringtone that you want it to call. So, for instance, you can have it either call you, or you can have it to where whenever someone calls you, you can have a specific voicemail. And also, if you want, if you're going to have something forwarded to someone, you can also have it choose a specific ringtone as well. So, as you can see, there's tons of options, and they're all incredibly fun. I'll also let you to go ahead and go through all of those by yourself. So from there, we can go ahead and move over to our very last thing, which is accessibility, before we move over to voicemail. Now, accessibility is for something that helps greatly for everybody, for anyone who has just any needs to just make it a little bit easier for them to be able to receive calls. So if you turn this mode on, which is TTY mode, which helps greatly if you have a TTY device, which is used to help interpret calls into text. This makes it so that way it's far more accessible for everyone to enjoy the wonderful voices or even just the wonderful language of someone else. You can also make sure that, sorry, at a moment there, but this also makes it just very easy for accessibility. So next, let's go ahead and move over to our voicemail now. This is the best part for everybody, I know. So once we're in voicemail, we're going to go ahead and, as you can see, there's also a ton of options. This is the reason why we want to make sure that you have all of the wonderful options for you to be able to do everything that you would like to do. So the cool part about our voicemail is that you can either record a greeting or you can do a text-to-speech greeting. So first, when it comes to recording a greeting, essentially you'll go here and you'll hit the record button. So what happens there, it'll give you a tone and it'll say, hey, are you ready to record your greeting? You'll go ahead and start. Then you can record whatever greeting you would like. Once you're done, it'll save that greeting. And so that way, when anyone calls you and they get your voicemail, they'll be able to hear your lovely voice on that greeting. So the next one is, as I spoke about before, which is our text-to-speech greeting. So this one's really cool, is because what happens is you can create any sort of greeting that you'd like, and instead of using your voice, you get to use the wonderful robotic sounds of Teams to be able to translate that voice or that text into a greeting. And you can also select in there your language that you'd like it to be translated into. Now, also, you see a wonderful option for a greeting for out of office. So the cool thing about this is whenever you're have an out of office message going on, you can actually have it to where when it goes to your voicemail, it'll also give a greeting for that. And you can also, as you can see down here, there's all these amazing options for that. You can also select what happens on when you want that greeting to be presented. So next, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to move it over to the last thing, which is our delegates. I'm going to go ahead and give it over to Magdalene for that. Or Amanda.
Yes, I'll be covering that. I did have one question in the chat, Denison, that I was going to see if maybe you might be able to answer for us.
Of course.
And it may be too time consuming for this session, so let me know if it's too complicated. But the question was if you could talk a little bit about what a call group is and what that does.
Yes. So a call group is essentially where you have a group of different individuals or different contacts to where you can think of it as sort of like a call queue. If you were to select it to go to the call group, it would ring, Teams would ring all of the people in that call group, and whoever picks it up, so it's almost like a game of cat and mouse, whoever picks it up essentially will be able to answer that phone call. So it's great for if you have, say, a team, you have, you're the normal person who is going to who's working on the team, and you normally get the phone calls, but then you're out of office. Or you can create a call group with everyone in your team who can fill in for that position.
Thank you. And just one second, I'm seeing if there was any other questions. Feel free, y'all, to use the live event Q&A chat if you have any other questions. I'm waiting to make sure we don't have anything real quick. Okay, perfect. I'm not seeing any right this second, but if you do have a question, just go ahead and post it in that chat because we want to be sure that we're answering everything. Okay, let's see. Let me reshare my screen and we'll talk a little bit about calling delegates. And Denison, feel free to chime in too if there's anything I missed on this, because I think this is a really cool feature. It's not one that I use a whole lot, but if you're in a larger group and you do need to delegate out some of those phone calls that you're receiving because you're not able to answer all of them, there is this option, and it's the same thing in settings. So I'm just going to show you how to get there one more time. So from your account, you can also go into manage account to get to settings, or as somebody else pointed out, the three little dots moved recently. So if you're like me, you had a moment of panic the first day you saw that, unable to find it anywhere. But the three little dots moved, so you can still get to your settings from those to the left now of your profile picture instead of underneath. So from your profile picture or from the three dots, you can get into your settings. And in this general list that we're looking at is the option down. You have to scroll a little bit further down and be able to select Manage Delegates. Delegates are individuals who can make and receive calls on your behalf. So if you have a student worker that perhaps is working on an event with you or working on a project and you want the numbers to always be coming from you, you could delegate them to answer those questions or to reach those clients, those customers on your behalf using this delegate feature. And that way it looks like it's coming from you and it still gives you that ownership of all of those calls as well as that call history so that you're able to see that. So I'll go ahead and select the Manage Delegate. And so you can see here you have two sections, the people you support or your delegates. So I'm going to go ahead and enter Dennison in here because I'm fine if he wants to take my calls or answer my emails or help at Teams Tips. I'll take all the help that I can get. So I can go ahead and add him as a delegate, and you saw it's as easy. It's just the same way we do our chat or invite people to meetings. You just enter that person's name. It'll automatically pull up for you so you can have them there. From there, you have a couple of options to select. When you're delegating somebody to make, you can have them just be able to make calls coming from your behalf or to receive calls. If you know you're going to be out of office or be out for prolonged absence, this is a great way to allow people to receive your calls so that anything that's coming in while you're away can still be covered and can still have a response. So you can select if you want them to only be able to do certain things. And the final option is to be able to change the call and delegate settings. I'm not going to let Dennison change that because that means that he could possibly deny me and change his role if he wanted to. But I really need his help, so we're going to leave it just the way that we have it. But you can adjust that. So if you do delegate somebody and they know that they're going to be out as well, they could then change that delegate setting on your behalf. So we'll just go ahead and select that and click Add. Now, what that does is it's not a secret thing to delegate somebody. It will send Dennison a notification, so he won't be caught off guard if he's having to answer all of my phone calls. So just be aware that when you do add or remove someone, it does send them a notice and it lets them know exactly what you selected. So in case you forgot to mention that you're needing somebody to take your calls or make your calls, it will automatically update them for you. Perfect. So anyways, that's just a quick way that if you did want an individual to be able to make those adjustments for you, that's available there for whenever you're out of office or you might be caught up in an event or busy for a day. So I believe Abby has mentioned that we were having a little trouble with the voicemails, but I think that now we have a voicemail that's available that I can show you. So Abby, would you like to come back on? Let me see if I can call him on. Abby?
Yes, I'm still there.
Excellent. Do you want to talk a little bit about voicemails? Because I know they're dying to see this feature.
Yes, please. Thank you, Amanda.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thank you again. So now we will cover a voicemail, what a voicemail is in this sense, and also what a transcript for the voicemail will look like. So now that you can see Brian has left Amanda a voicemail, what we usually do, we have a list of things that there we can get. So you see on the top middle right side, there's a voicemail and there's a cross icon to it. Do we just get here through the list of the calls that we might have missed or the ongoing calls and the history tab. So now let's go ahead and click on the voicemail that Brian has left us. Perfect. So you see on the right side, it opens up a new window with everything that is on there. So on the right side, we see the contact that has left us the voicemail and also the transcript for the voicemail. And we can actually play the voicemail as well. So as you can see, the transcript says, "Hi, Amanda, I'm Brian. I'm not sure what you possibly could be doing right now." So I'll leave that conversation be, but this was the demo of the transcript voicemail as well. And you can actually, it really helps out because you can also speed the voicemails on the bottom right corner and play it as well. So that was it for my transcript voicemail. If you have any questions, please do leave it in the chat.
Hey, Ami, I have a question actually.
Go for it, Amanda.
Do all voicemails come in through this? And are all of them available to have this visual display so that I can see what it is without having to listen to it?
I believe they should. It's an accessibility feature which we think is really helpful, and you can actually play those voicemails and speed them up if it's a long voicemail as well, and you will have the transcript on there.
Excellent. So I can see not only are you able to speed it up, but you're also able to slow it down in case an individual has left you a message that you're not able to understand and you need a little more clarification. I think I have a pretty good idea of what Brian was trying to say, though.
Perfect. If you have any questions, and anyone in the audience have any questions, let me know.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull open the Q&A chat to see if there's any questions. Okay, it looks like we have one that's more of an issue that they had using the managed delegate features in the past. So I'm going to ask that person if they mentioned that they used it in the past, but neither of them were able to receive calls on each other's behalf. So I would recommend trying it again now. It's possible that it was in a testing feature or was just kind of in beta testing when it first came out. So if you haven't tried it again recently, I'm going to challenge you to go ahead and test it again to see if you have access. If you don't, then let's go ahead and we want to report that. And while I'm just have my screen shared here, I'll go ahead and show everyone because I think this is a great feature to be aware of. If there's something that you know that should be working a certain way in Teams and it's not functioning to what your expectations are or what the expectations are for that feature, you can report a problem at any time by going to the bottom left corner of Teams and that little help icon. So you can go ahead and select that help and select report a problem. It's going to pull up a screenshot of what is occurring within your session. So you can see the live event is there. You get a little behind the scenes peek there. But you can include a screenshot of whatever it is that you're seeing that's not working correctly for you, and you can provide a description. Know that we do receive these descriptions, and we do want to be able to work with Microsoft to improve anything that is not working to the best of its ability. So go ahead and leave that feedback because we receive it as well as Microsoft, and we can work together then to solve whatever that problem is that you're having. And we do want to know about that. Okay, and I see a question that just came in from Dennis. In voicemail, what are the little icons below Brian's photo? So you can find these as in voicemail, but you can also find them when you're chatting with somebody. I think this is great. I receive a lot of Teams messages, chats, and I may not have already met the individual. So if I want to get a quick reference as to who they are or where they're from, if you haven't already seen this, it pulls up, oops, it's going to pull up. Sorry, Brian. It's going to pull up our org chart here. So you can see what their title is, what their information is, and how to call. Don't call Brian, y'all. I'm sorry, Brian, I'll hide it. But how to get that information. So it's really helpful when you're in a chat with somebody and you're needing more information. You can, let me get back to voicemail here. Even Brian's Teams is running away from me. I don't know what I've done. But you can select that little icon to find out organization. And then if you just need to chat really quickly with Brian and just say, hey, I'm in the middle of an event. That's why I didn't answer your very important call. You could send a quick chat. And if you want to do a video call or just a regular Teams call back, these are all quick links so that once you receive a message or a call, if you need to get back to whoever quickly, it's just the touch of a button so you can instantaneously respond. Okay, so hopefully that helps, Dennis. I'm looking to see, I don't see any other questions. So Soy, if you don't mind, let's go ahead and pull up, I'm gonna pull up a couple of pieces of information about some of our events that we have coming up, just so that you're aware of what we have. And if you're interested, that we can go ahead and get you information and details on those. So still using your phone. And if you don't have the Teams app on your phone, I highly recommend it. It's a great way to get that information quickly. So let's go ahead and get those slides. I think, yep, those are up. Perfect. If you have your phone on you, you can take a quick, with your camera on your phone, you can scan it over these QR codes if you're interested in attending an upcoming session. The next one that we have is on Microsoft Outlook. And I know most people think that they've been using Outlook all along, but I assure you, even on our team in planning this session, there were things that we were sharing with each other that were completely new or unfamiliar with the team, and we use it every day just like you. So we've got some really fun tidbits there to share with you on Outlook of how you can improve and make it even more efficient, as well as I know I received a lot of feedback from one of our last sessions where I shared a picture of my calendar, which was terrifying, but you were able to see how I color code events and different ways to categorize your Outlook. So that's what we're going to be covering there. I'm going to go ahead and post, if it's not already, in the chat so that you can see and get those links. If you don't have a phone that scans QR codes, you can get those links from the chat. And then we have started hosting these Teams orientations. We're going to be hosting them at the start of every semester so that anyone who's new, any transfer students, or anyone that just wants a little reassurance in using Teams and becoming more familiar with how we use that platform at UT Dallas, that you can join that session as well. So those are going to be an offering that we have at the start of every semester to ensure everyone starts on an equal footing with an equal knowledge of how to use the basic features and functionality in Teams. And then as new things are released, we'll make sure and add that to the training so that nobody gets left behind with how to use that content. Okay, next, please. I did want to, we promised if you were reviewing the catalog that we have for the rest of this semester, we did state in that catalog that we were going to give away a couple of items. So if you'll go ahead and click that, please. We've gone ahead and created a spinner wheel to give out a few prizes for those of you who registered in advance to come to today's session. So let's go ahead and spin to win, and let's see what we get here. Hey, congratulations. Okay, spin again, spin again. We've got some awesome prize packs. Microsoft has been so generous to provide us with some materials to give away to you all today. So we'll go ahead and get that next one. Oh, and Amanda, great. Yay, Amanda R. It's not me, y'all. I'm Amanda P, just to be, I didn't win it. So, okay, let's do one more soy, please. Raleigh. Okay, so we need to redo. Sorry, Nirali. He's on our team, so. I promise we didn't rig the prizes just so that Nirali would get one. He probably already has all the swag. All right, Minky up. Yay, I know who that is. Go, Minky. Congratulations. Okay, so we will be in touch with you for how to pick up those prizes. And I did see one person in the chat post that they were a first timer. This was their first Teams tip, so I'm thrilled. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide, please. If you have been joining or if you've missed a few sessions, please follow us on YouTube. You can go to that link. It's also available in our chat, but that has different categories for all of the trainings that we've done, whether it's on PowerPoint or Microsoft Forms or OneDrive. It is a wealth of resources so that you can go back and review any content that you've missed. And if you go to YouTube and subscribe, you'll be the first to get videos of any recordings. We've started putting together quick tips for you all. So those are 30-second to 2-minute videos giving you insights on how to do some of those quick things that you just want to maximize your efforts on. So if you want to go there and subscribe, that would be fantastic. It helps to make sure that it helps tell us that we're providing you with relevant content that's applicable to your job here. So next slide. But we've posted that in the chat as well. Okay, we're going to go ahead and leave this up. I did see that we have a couple of questions, but just real quick, we host these events with the hope and anticipation that it's beneficial to you. We want to make sure that everything we do supplies you with the technology tools to be the best at your job, with the understanding that we're all here, all learning together. So if you take a moment, you can take your phone and scan that QR code. That's going to give you a link to the survey, which will also be posted in the chat. But if you could just provide some feedback to us with what you thought about the training today and what you thought about the session. I'm going to leave that up, so don't worry, it's not going to go away. And I'm going to go ahead and look in our Q&A chat to answer a few questions. In addition, while we're getting those questions, if you have ideas for topics of things that you're wanting to see or be trained on, please leave us a note in the chat. We want that feedback from you because ultimately our job, all of our jobs here, are to be able to serve and support you. And if we're not doing that, or if there's ways that we could do that in a better way, then we want you to share that with us so that we can make sure that you're reaching your goals. Okay, so Denison, I'm going to have you help me answer. I've got a couple of questions on here.
Of course.
It says, is there a way to silence incoming calls when you're currently on a call? And it just went away. Hold on. Somebody moved it. But is there a way to silence a call when you're currently on a call? What would you do if you didn't want to just hang up on them?
So what I do like to do, of course, you can put in call forwarding rules whenever you're in like a meeting or say another call. But what I like to do, which tends to be a little bit of a faster fix, is just put yourself into do not disturb mode. This automatically forwards your calls to your voicemail. Unless there's also rules in there that you can set to make it to where certain people can punch through your do not disturb mode. But for the most part, you can do that and all of your calls will be forwarded directly to your voicemail. So that way you don't have to worry about them when you're in a big important meeting.
Thanks. I've got another question. Can you record your voicemail just on your phone, also on a PC? So when you're setting up that voicemail in Teams settings, are you aware if you're able to do that on your phone?
On your phone? I'm actually
That one
trying
we
to.
might investigate.
Yes, I might need to research on that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I need to look into that. So, okay, that's one that we'll need to investigate. And the next question is there a way to set a call answering rule to automatically change my status as do not disturb upon answering a call? So as soon as you get a call, the rule would state that you're automatically on do not disturb. Are you aware of setting that as a rule? I know it puts you, I know it moves you to red if you receive a call, but not necessarily to do not disturb.
Yes. Currently, I don't believe that's a feature yet. But I think Microsoft is working on creating a feature for that. So that way you can actually change the status, or you can choose what status it puts you in, even though it normally just puts you in a meeting if you go into like a call or something like that.
Perfect. And we had one individual just mention that putting yourself on do not disturb, that you mentioned it would forward the call to your voicemail, but they weren't sure that that would work once you've answered the call. Like once you've answered the call, you can turn yourself on do not disturb, right? To ensure that you don't get additional calls.
Yes.
And then or you can just help I know one thing that I'm guilty of is not always checking a status. I called Dennison earlier when he was on Do Not Disturb, but that is one thing that we as a university community can try to be better about too, is that to check somebody's status, because I know this person is saying that they can't be on Do Not Disturb when they're trying to answer a main line. They have to be able to continue to receive those calls. So one thing we can do too, I think, is just to be aware of what those statuses are. I know that in a lot of these, we still have people that haven't seen that or don't realize what it is, but to be aware that you can change your status. I'll go ahead and let me share. I'm going to take down the survey links just for a second so I can share this again, just so that everybody can see this, because I do think it's really important content to have. But from your profile picture, to be able to change your status, and Do Not Disturb would mean do not disturb, you're not able to receive calls. And then someone's busy. It can also, when you hover over their name in chat, you can also see if they are actively in a call. So that can help you if you are trying to reach out to somebody who's otherwise engaged in something else. So, okay, I've got another question, Dennison. Are you able to create presets with multiple settings that would make it much easier to quickly change your settings? So if one call comes in right after the other, if you're receiving multiple calls, to be able to adjust those. Do you know if you're able to create those? I know Microsoft's been working on different ways to change your status and different options of your status.
Yes, but currently there isn't anything to create, say, a preset for yourself. But I do know that Microsoft is still currently working on quite a few different status changes. But normally you can just reset your status itself. But there's no presets, sadly.
Perfect. No, I completely understand. I know we take regular calls with Microsoft, and we are constantly bringing them feedback and questions from the group, and we always want to make sure that we have a dialogue open and available with them. So if there are questions or concerns, that I ask that you please make sure you let us know. I will be sending out an email, a follow-up email to this. In addition, I just wanted to call your attention, if you're not already familiar with it, I do have a team on Teams called Campus Communicators. If you're not a part of that group, I would like to invite you to come and participate in that. We have a bunch of technical support staff as well as representatives from all around campus, everyone that uses Teams and Microsoft products, that can post questions and support each other through community feedback and forum, so that we all are answering each other's questions, providing possible solutions. It's a great group to be involved in. So if you are looking for being the first to know about updates, getting the latest information on events, or getting that inside perspective on what somebody has already done and how they've already accomplished reaching a certain goal, then you're welcome to join that team with us, and I will send that out by email so that you can have that link as well. But you're welcome to join and just be a part of that group that provides that insight and feedback to each other. So, all right, I'm checking the chat once more. Oh, Abby, I think this one might be yours, actually. We have a question in the chat. We did your video, and it was about parked calls, but there's the question as to what exactly does that mean? What is a parked call?
Of course, I'd be more than happy to answer that. So think of parked call as just a call on hold. So if you're getting multiple calls, or if you have work from one call and you want to put them on hold and get some research done and get back to them, you can basically park a call or put them on hold. Once you do that, they'll know that the call is on hold, and you can pick it up as soon as you're done getting the research or the answer you need to. So